Today I'm going to do the easiest beef meatloaf I've ever made. I think we can make and cook this meatloaf within 1 hour. While the meatloaf is cooking, I'm going to do a fantastic rich onion gravy. So a brief run through the ingredients. I've got just over a pound of ground beef, and that's about a 10% fat content. In there you can see a teaspoon of mustard. We've got some whole wheat bread that I've chopped up into little pieces. I've got some regular whole cream milk. I've got some onion that I've caramelised in the frying pan with a little bit of rosemary and some beef fat or beef tallow. I've got 6 rashers of bacon that I've cut up really fine. In here, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do this, in here I've got 2 beef stock cubes that I've melted and made into a paste with a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. In here I've got some cornflour, and there I've got a beaten egg. We've also got some salt and pepper. When we make the onion gravy, we will be frying the onions in beef tallow or beef fat, and we're going to add to that some flour and some rich beef stock and some balsamic vinegar. That will make a wonderful gravy. So, without any further ado, shall we crack on? Okay, let's start this wonderful meatloaf. Mustard's in there. I'm going to throw in my well-cooked, finely chopped bacon. Throw in these beautiful caramelised onions that include a pinch of rosemary. I'm now going to put in the paste that we made earlier, and we'll need to really break that down with our fingers when we mix the meatloaf. So here I've got this wonderful whole wheat bread that I've soaked with milk. Don't forget, all the measurements will be in the description below. We're going to mix everything up really well now, paying special attention to our flavour paste. That will need to be broken down as much as you possibly can. That will need to be spread out as evenly as possible throughout the whole mixture. So I'd advise you to spend a good 2 or 3 minutes on getting this mixture really well blended. And believe me, it will be worth every bit of effort when you taste this fantastic meatloaf. In goes the cornflour, and I'm just going to mix that in. The cornflour is going to help all the juices to bind in to the solids. So what the cornflour will do, along with the egg, we've got 2 binding agents effectively. And I know the Asian community use lentil flour and chickpea flour to bind their seek kebabs, and that's where I got the idea from. So now I'm going to add the egg, 1 beaten egg, really mix it in really well. All we need to do now, a ½ teaspoon of salt and a ½ teaspoon of black pepper. It's going to go in the oven for about 30. Okay, we're making the onion gravy now, and in here I've got some sliced onions and I've got some beef dripping. Beef fat, call it what you will, it's full of flavour, and if you cook onions in beef dripping, the flavour is fantastic. It forms an amazing foundation for a very, very rich gravy. This onion gravy is very easy, very straightforward, and I promise you it will go with pretty much anything that needs a good gravy. We're going to fry these onions until they're completely brown. That's going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to quicken the process somewhat by popping the lid on though. On goes the universal all-purpose lid. I don't have a matching lid for my wok. A couple of people have asked me, why do you use the wok all the time? And the reason for that is because when we're filming, I want to give you guys the best possible view. And if I was cooking in a little saucepan, it would be really difficult for you to get a perspective of what's going on. So in the wok, you can see all the exciting progress that we're making when we're cooking something. Okay, our onions are nicely caramelised, and yes, I know some people will say they're burnt, but I promise you, we want that little bit of char on some of these onions. It'll help us to colour the gravy. Cooking the flour for about a minute, that's all, on a medium heat. Pop the balsamic vinegar in, there we are. And that will just blend in with our flour. Now we can start adding our stock. And I'm going to add the stock in 3 batches. In goes the first batch. And as we normally do with all our sauces that are roux based, we add a little bit of liquid and then we mix some in. Okay, a little bit more. And then we mix this in again. And you can see the richness of this wonderful, dark, absolutely fabulous gravy starting to form. And the last batch of wonderful rich beef stock. And all we need to do now is stir until it comes to the boil. Fabulous onion gravy. Pretty much ready. I'm just going to put some pepper in. A little bit of salt, not a great deal. We've got a lot of salt going on in the stock. But I've just put about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in because I know that the salt content in the stock won't be enough for us to have a rich onion gravy flavour. And look how wonderfully gloopy that is. Look at the way the onions just come off the whisk. Absolutely fantastic. I'm going to turn that down now and I'm going to simmer that for about 2 to 3 minutes and then it's ready. That's what I call onion gravy. Absolutely fantastic. 35 minutes in the oven and our meatloaf is perfect. But is the inside perfect? Let's cut a slice, shall we? Oh yes, that looks absolutely fantastic. So there you have it. A really simple beef meatloaf, served with a very, very impressive, very shiny, very velvety, very rich onion gravy. Thanks for watching, everyone. We've got the 2 ingredients that we mentioned in the beginning of the video. The first one was the caramelised onions that were nicely charred and brown, and that's just a large onion chopped into small dice, about 1 ounce of beef fat, beef tallow, and a teaspoon of rosemary from the garden. And then it's just been cooked down in the frying pan for about 15 minutes until it's nicely brown. And I've even got some nice, really dark brown charred bits. They will add to the flavour too. So that's the onions, and the really special ingredient, here it is. I've got a couple of beef stock cubes and I'm going to warm the Worcestershire sauce through, and I'm literally going to mash those beef stock cubes into the warm Worcestershire sauce. And as I mash them, everything will start to gel together and we will have a paste, also known as a flavour bomb. This will make the meatloaf memorable. See you soon, everyone.